brainstorm and we are going to information architecture, to use your words, through which we are going to try and understand the world view of this given problem, the ecosystem and the world view of this given problem. And after we've done that, brainstorming is basically the idea of declustering information. And before you decluster, brainstorming helps tease things out of the hidden recesses of your mind. You think that if someone said, give me 20 points about what children love doing in the playground, you'd think that you'd be able to just rattle off. It's not that easy actually. But if you had 3 people sitting with you, you would do it in 5 minutes flat. If you were alone, you just think. Someone said, my neighbors just had a kid and we're looking for a name. You start scratching your head, nothing comes. You're like, when you start thinking, because we think cognitively, we don't think intuitively anymore because we are so exposed to formal modes of information that, we think through our minds. We don't think through our hearts. So, and by thinking through hearts, I'll give you an example. Fisher folks, etc., they don't look at weather reports. In fact, they don't trust the weather report because if they say, samudar pe nahi jana, then you have sunny weather. And when they fail to inform you, then they're in sea, at sea and completely at sea actually. What they do is they look at cloud formations, color of clouds, texture of clouds, and distance from land to sea. And in this beautiful book by Kamala Devi Chattopadhyay, who was a doyen of crafts in India, who passed away in the 90s, I think. When she spent extensive number of years with craftsmen, and she realized that there are 80 categories of white that rural India knows about. So they say this through this white or that white. And then there's this person in Bombay, I think in New Bombay, it's one of the villages, who can actually tell you the formation of clouds. He can tell you if it's going to rain or not. And he's so accurate, everybody sort of laughs him off, right? Urbanites laugh him off. But he's been doing it for years. And then they say, if the pied-crested bird comes and sits on your balcony, you know the monsoons are going to come, right? Now that's constructivist information. You're thinking through your heart. There is a logic behind it. It's just that pied-crested birds follow the they're ahead of the monsoon clouds, and so when they come, the monsoon clouds can't be far behind. But if you don't know the logic, it's quite a romantic thing to say, the bird has come, so it's going to rain, and it's good enough information actually. So we're going to think both through our hearts and our minds. So do not be afraid to say something which you think might be stupid. There's nothing stupid here. Think logically and think through your heart and through your mind. Don't think that when you think through your heart, you're not thinking logically. It's just a different way of thinking. So the pied-crested bird coming before rains gives you rain. That's thinking from the heart. And a botanist would say the pied-crested bird flies and then it cannot handle the velocity of the monsoon clouds, so it always keeps ahead of the clouds. And then it doesn't make any, when it gives you, when the biologist gives you the information, the biologist does not make a connection between the clouds, the monsoon clouds and the pied-crested bird. The biologist tells you about the monsoons and tells you about the bird. And you have to figure out, and he'll tell you some equation actually, and then you'll have to figure out the rest. But the story is a much better, if children were taught in this manner, then children would remember stuff much better, So it's basically the apple falling from the tree, or the equation of the Newton's first law as an equation, the difference between the two. So let's not just think in terms of equations, let's also think in terms of, you have a sense, this will probably work. Say it. Do not worry about whether it's valid, not valid, all of that, okay? Now, there are certain rules of brainstorming. As the word suggests, you're storming your brain. The brain has many hidden recesses, and as you know, we do not use half of the capacity of the brain, and so you need to tease. And because one is, more the merrier, that there are more number of people, more number of brains, more number of teasing, and it's like an exponential thing, permutation, combination. But importantly, each one of you has stands on different kinds of experiences. You could go to the same school and you'll have different experience with the teacher in class. Some of you will come out and say, I don't like her. Some of you will say, I love her. So a lot of it goes from your own conditioning, what's happening in your home, what happens on the way to school, how your mind works, you know, how your right side, left side work, how you approach information, whether cognitively, etc. So I'll just give you a very quick example. They've recent from the present situation. They've just dislodged Kiran Bedi and Kejriwal as the key interlocutor from Team Anna, and they've replaced them with Medha Patkar and this person who's actually Anna's right-hand person in the village. Do you know why? Can you guess why? Okay, in the interest of time, I'll just say it. I don't like doing this, but I'll just say it. Yesterday, Kiran Bedi did a little theatric, right? Now, she was speaking from the heart. I mean, what she said was right. She said Mukhota, then Ghungat, all that. That's exactly how the government has been working, right? But it's not politically correct. That's a cognitive thing. Even if it's not correct, you have to think differently. You have to say it differently. You have to word it differently. So, and Kejriwal too. I mean, they're passionate people and they're fed up of all this nonsense. But you see, on the other hand, all of that is coming out of the parliament, Pranab Mukherjee, Sibal, etc. They're damn good with playing around with words, especially lawyers. So they're actually doing it cognitively. They're like analytically saying, ye bole to wo nahi hoga, wo bole to ye hoga, ye bole to wo nahi hoga. You know, so they think analytically. Whereas Kejriwal, etc., for them it's a matter of life and death. And so they're upset, and they didn't make any bones about being upset. So, so this is this left side, right side, both. Think through your left side. Think like a child and put yourself in the place of the child, because we are trying to understand the world of the child. Okay, without going out in the field, meeting the child, we are doing a brainstorming exercise because we were children once upon a time. We have children around us ourselves, and there is a you can do some amount of brainstorming even before you've gone to the user, and then you go to the user after that. This is not a substitute for that. Some rules. Brainstorming is a very, very free-flowing session. You cannot criticize people's ideas. It's not an analytical, cognitively driven session. It's where you just storm, the idea comes, just put it out. Just spit it out. But you need to remember that you're doing it within the boundaries of a given problem reference that has been given to you. What is the reference? What are the reference points? Children, the problem statement that we've given you. Yeah, keeping yourself within those bounds, you can say anything. You get it? If you did not keep yourselves within the bound, it would end up with nothing. It would be chaotic and useless. To make it meaningful, you need to remember the boundary. But once you remember the boundary, feel free and say whatever comes to mind.